We live. Hey, yo, check this out. Spin That Back Show, 12/30/23, day before New Year's Eve, 2023. This is the 50th year of hip hop. And this is what we're going to be talking about today, hip hop. This is what we talk about all the time. You know, this is the old school hip hop throwback show where we like to live in the golden era. Everything from the beginning, bro. I ain't gonna say the beginning. I'm talking about the beginning. When I say beginning of rap, I mean rap on record. So that's around 79 or so. But either way, we celebrating the 50th year of hip hop. And what is hip hop? That's what we're really gonna discuss here. So actually, it is the 50th year of hip hop. So we're gonna just celebrate it with that. We're gonna start off with that. Mr. Floyd X, how you doing there this morning? Well, Mr. Nice Guy, how you feeling?
Doing great. How you doing, Mr. El Poo?
Yes, sir. I'm doing good, bro. How about you, Mr. Nice Guy?
We live already. We live.
Yes, I'm live. Yes. All right, Walt.
Live.
It's okay to look at that top left corner of the screen every now and again. It's like we've been trying to start off the show. He was in there. It's like, dude, look at the top left corner, okay?
All right, just to catch you up, bro. We're talking about this is the last day, well, the last couple of days of the year, and this is the 50th year of hip hop, supposedly. So they say. I mean, I really believe hip hop goes back a little further than that, but we're gonna talk about that. In fact, like I say, the topic of the show is gonna be what is hip hop, and what I mean by what is hip hop, it's like what is hip hop to you. Now we're gonna talk about the definition of hip hop. That's why I got Mr. Nice Guy on here. Mr. Nice Guy, how you doing today? I tried to say that earlier, but how you doing now?
Hey, I'm doing all right, man. Just shaking our focus up, but
That was tough, brother. That was tough. That was tough, man.
I'm Shout out to the Focus Up crew.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So, Mr. Nice Guy, won't you give us the definition of what is hip hop? I mean, as far as the definition of hip hop as we know it.
Yeah, we want to distinguish a few things because what is the widely accepted concept of hip hop is that there's the four pillars of hip hop. There's MCing, there's DJing, there's breakdancing, and there's graffiti. Those are the four elements that there's a big consensus about. And this is, the byproduct or the offspring of a culture that, started in New York. There's arguments about where it started in Brooklyn, or where it started in the Bronx. But, when we talk about the origins of hip hop, we're talking about when really all of the elements were organized together. The elements individually existed well before then. But when they came together under a particular umbrella and was organized, that's where we kind of get the whole kind of 50-year thing from, and that's what you're talking about. So hip hop was that thing that they did in the clubs, that they did in the parks. This is the MC and the go back and forth. You got the beat juggling where a person that mostly, one thing that a lot of the original DJs saw that they're playing a lot of the old music, but what happened is that during the break, that's when the music really got energetic. And they thought, you know what? Let's just play the breaks. Let's focus on breaks. That's where the energy is. So that's the break dancing. That's where the break boys, the beat boys, and all that stuff comes from. So when hip hop figured out how not only just to play the breaks, but then you got a person like Grandmaster Flash was actually doing it smoothly, where it wasn't just a function of you just playing like flipping the needle and stuff like that, but where it's smoothly, where the beats is just going on and on and on with the breaks. And then you have the MC sort of flowing over that and just doing all the crowd work and getting all the participation. So that's sort of like the origins. That's the original stuff. But, we weren't all there. A lot of us I was born in Memphis, Tennessee, but for the most part, I was raised here in West Los Angeles. And, my exposure to hip hop, like most people, was what you got from Run DMC, what you got from Houdini, what you got from, obviously Rappers Delight, stuff like that. But it really kind of took off with the Run DMCs, Houdini, the Fat Boys and stuff like that. I went to the Fresh Fest Festival in Long Beach, which a lot of people call sort of like the Woodstock hip hop. You're talking about Run DMC, Houdini, Curtis Blow, and the Fat Boys. Now I went to the youth matinee, and for whatever reason, the Fat Boys didn't perform. But suffice it to say, they rocked the house, and that's when I saw Jam Master Jay cutting that run. That made me decide, you know what, I need to go get me some turntables. So that was sort of like the beginning of my DJing and stuff like that. So I identify with that crowd, that crew that came with Tribe Called Quest, De La, Ultramagnetic MCs, KRS One, Big Daddy Kane, the Juice Crew, all that original stuff, and then embracing all the later stuff that came great, as far as Wu-Tang, Cypress Hill, and et cetera, et cetera. So, I'll talk a little bit more, but let me pass the floor to somebody.
Well, let me say one thing. You brought up 3 of the 4 elements. You brought the DJ, the MC, and the B-boy. The 4th element is the graffiti, right? Nobody really speaks on the graffiti. What you guys say about that, Mr. Floyd X?
He must be frozen. I see him. Normally when we see
Mr. Floyd X up here, I see double. Okay, am I still drunk?
Hey, I'm here. I'm here, brother. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
We were saying, you were saying there's 4 elements to hip hop. We got some,
you said graffiti.
Yeah, graffiti is the 4th element. What you know about graffiti? I hear some echoing in your background too.
All right, let me. I'm on my phone right now, brother. So, can you? Is it clear now?
Yeah, you're clear.
All right. As far as graffiti goes,
it's clear when you talk, but it's not clear when we talk.
Okay, I got this speakerphone. Let me turn it down. So, as far as the graffiti goes, I know that as being a person going to school, I've seen people start writing on the RTD bus, writing their name, and I participated in that, writing the set that they claimed on the RTD bus or write it wherever you can write it. So I participated in the graffiti in that manner. I didn't look at it as art. I looked at it as letting people know. So, I mean, I don't know, how does that tie in? What's your think of that?
Yeah, it was like marking your territory, letting people know who you are. I'm here. That's what that was. Yeah. You know what? But we're going to take every element step by step. But I just want to say this one thing about all that. I heard hip hop. I heard the term hip hop, but I didn't put all the elements together to probably the late 80s, early 90s. I didn't know it was DJing, MCing, breakdancing, and graffiti. I didn't know all this till, like, I guess KRS probably introduced me to that.
Honestly. Yeah, the teacher.
Yeah. But either way, Mr. Omar, how you doing there, sir?
Hey, how y'all doing?
Yes, sir.
Everyone.
Well,
Can y'all hear me?
Shout out to brother Omar.
Hear you.
Okay, cool.
Loud and clear, brother.
Okay.
Thank you for joining the show, brother. We appreciate you.
Yep.
So we talking about, once again, we talking about 50 years of hip hop, but most importantly, what is hip hop? Now, what I mean by that is we define the hip hop by the technical terms, or the term that everybody's familiar with, but personalize it for yourself. What is hip hop to you? We're gonna get into all that, but let's take all the elements. The first element, I think, is, and I ain't thinking, I know for a fact, the first element is DJing, right? Everybody agree with that? Okay. So the DJ came first. If it wasn't for the DJ, none of this stuff would exist. The DJ got on the tables, he played the music, made everybody move. After the DJ came the B-boy, right? People started dancing to the music. Just like you were saying earlier, Mr. Nice Guy, when the DJ was up there taking the best part of the record, the break, making it loop over and over the best way they could until Flash actually perfected it. And then that's where you get sampling and all this whole thing from, everything that we're doing today. But I want to go a little deeper, though. I think James Brown music was kind of like hip hop in a sense. He kept the same groove going over and over and over and over. He broke it down. I mean, a whole lot of other people did the same thing, but James Brown just brought it up to that level where even the B-boys, the DJs, everybody just focused in on James Brown because he had that funky groove. So anyway, let's talk about the DJ. How important was the DJ?
I mean, just think about it. That was why a lot of the DJs were the first name in the beginning of these groups, because the DJs were the people that really had the name. The MCs were dependent on what the DJs were doing. So, you know, it all started with the DJ. The DJ was the person that was providing the party, was providing the music. And like you said, the music is the backbone of everything. You have to have something to dance to. You have to have something to MC to. So that's why it always started with the DJ, and the DJ was the big thing. That's what got the party going and kept the party going.
Mr. Omar, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I want to add, of course, some controversy, but I want to just preface by saying that I'm open-minded, and I'd rather just put it out there, my thoughts, and get some feedback from you all. I think the main element in the hip hop, I think all these 5 elements, all this stuff is something that came after, and it was something that may have been specific to particular areas and particular boroughs in the early development. Just because something develops with certain elements doesn't mean that's the essence of what it is. I think when you boil it down, the essence of hip hop is the rapper, is the master of ceremony, the MC. In many instances in the earlier development of hip hop, the DJ and the MC were the same person. If it was just limited to someone playing music, it wouldn't have evolved to what we call rap today. The DJ, not even rapping per se, but the master of ceremony, on someone on the mic, call and response, these African traditions. And I think that, to me, the main element for me of what hip hop is Black culture, Black youth culture, young Black baby boomer and Generation X urban culture.
Okay, hold on. Let me spin this back real quick. First of all, we talked about the 4 elements. This man said the 5 elements. What's the 5th element of hip hop, brother?
Oh, I don't know. I just heard some people say 5 elements. I've heard some people say 4.
I've heard some people say 6 too. But yeah, but the one that we all pretty much agree with are those 4. So whatever, no matter how many numbers you have, those 4 elements are going to be usually caught up in the dynamics or the pillars of hip hop.
Yeah, those are the legs. Those are the legs. But I will say this though: the 5th one I think is knowledge, and I think the 6th one might be fashion, something like that. I'm not sure. Either way, but go ahead, brother.
But I don't want to fly past. Are you going to speak on it, Mr. Nice Guy? With
yeah, no, I'm going to retort, but you go ahead. You can go for it. No, I'm going to retort. Hey, that's what Omar does. That's what my brother's doing. He's bringing it up.
I agree with the brother. I agree with him. He says Black culture is one of the elements. I agree with that. I never heard.
We getting a little ahead of ourselves. To me,
that's an original Black thought. I never heard that before.
Yeah, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves because I want to get into all that because we'll
talk about that. I was talking about that
because I agree with that wholeheartedly too. I'm gonna get into my personal story about it and everything. But yeah, the DJ. But after the DJ put the music on, then people start dancing. So thus comes the b-boy, the break dancers, or whatever you want to call it. And the reason why they call it break dancers is because they danced over the breaks, and they did a certain type of dance. I guess it's urban. Everything that's hip hop is all urban. Number one, get that straight. It's all urban. It starts with us. So you got the people dancing, and then a little later, then you get somebody on the mic, like you said, master of ceremony. You might get on the mic and say, "Hey, such and such, your mama's here. She coming to get you."
Yes, sir.
Or they might say, "Hey, shout out to such and such, whatever." Mm-hmm. And they started doing rhymes and stuff. And the rhyming and that technique came from real DJs on the radio. They was like rhyming, saying, "Hey, this is DJ whoever," and I mean whatever they was doing. So we kind of picked that up and took it to the parties, the blocks, the clubs, or the parks, or whatever we was doing. So you got the DJs, you got the people breaking, and then you got somebody actually on the mic. Go ahead and expand on that, brother.
Can I add a little piece of that? Because I think you're right. Because if you listen to a lot of the early, like the Curtis Blow style, late 70s, they sound like disc jockeys. The way they rap, how they project their voice, like, bitch up, kind of like those 70s, early 80s disc jockeys. Like, it's the world famous WBLS, you in the place the best, and stuff like that. You see those elements and how they rapped. You see that DJ this jockey element. You're right. Yeah, I think that's correct. Yeah.
So the one thing that I was going to push back on is the reason why, to me, the DJ is in forefront of the MC is because the music is the background. The music, without the music, there's nothing that you're dancing to. You just have someone talking, whatever. I mean, you can sit there and clap and do that after a fashion, but in the beginning, hip hop was actually very musical. It wasn't until Run DMC where they sort of stripped it down and went back to sort of I should say back to when they were just sort of bare beats, and stuff like that. So it kind of started off using all this disco, and when you talk about James Brown, you're absolutely right. James Brown was hip hop before hip hop. Because a lot of his stuff, you can just loop it straight. You don't have to do nothing to it. And he was looping it. I joked about that before. He was looping before looping. But, that's the thing about the elements have been along from a long time. It's really just the culmination and the organizing it and putting it all together. And that's when you put that label on a hip hop. Because a lot of the originators, there's we didn't even describe what we did as hip hop. It just was what we were doing. That the label came after the fact. When they had settled on the label after the fact. So, it all starts with that. But when you talk about the culture, you're absolutely right, Floyd X, because as KRS-One says, rap is something you do, hip hop is something you live. And it's a whole culture phenomenon. It's not just the function of just those elements, but it's your fashion, the way that you dressed, the way that you carried yourself, the way that you presented yourself, the way that you talked. It's the things that you are listening to and interested to. So there's all type of things that contribute to the culture.
What do you folks think about the because if I answered that question when I was a youth, and if you were to ask me then, I wouldn't be more as academic or intellectual as I am now, but I would say viscerally hip hop, there was this rebelliousness in it. And I'm sure you can find that in a lot of youth music, but it was totally rejected, not only by white people, but even by our own parents, the older baby boomers. And, as I think back, or even then, I appreciated that. I like that they didn't understand the lingo that we were using. I like that they were confused. It was labeled as jungle music, as it wasn't music. What are y'all doing? Y'all not even singing. They're just talking. And I enjoyed that. And I was really this is our shit. And that's right. You don't understand it because you ain't us. You know what I'm saying? And the white people, you ain't us. I remember we couldn't even perform hip hop, or what do you call it, at the talent show. When it was time to do a talent show, what are you going to do? Rap? You can't rap. You don't rap at a talent show. No. I mean, we would get in trouble, get suspended for rapping in the lunchroom. But now, you have these schools are paying white people, largely coming from California, to come in and teach hip hop and talk about these elements and things that KRS-One, I think, has kind of just restricted hip hop to the kind of market and build his hip hop temple and all of that stuff. But, and he has fabricated a lot of false.
That brother be saying a lot, man. That brother be saying a lot.
These are old school, Coca La Rock, Kool Herc. They've all got on KRS-One too. I mean, he's just kind of making up stuff. And, I think, I don't know totally what hip hop is, but I think, as we dig deeper, having these conversations, we get a better picture of what it is not, and a bigger picture of what some of what it is.
Hey, full disclosure, me and Brick Walls is under the weather. He's not going to be able to appear today, but we used to always have these discussions about KRS-One. I love KRS-One. KRS-One is on my Mount Rushmore of my era, but make no mistake about it, that dude is all over the place. The things that Walk accused me of, he has a history of absolutely doing. So he'll make this one argument, the whole boom bap thing. He's talking about the simplicity and just the straightforwardness, and then he's on the Sprite commercial with MC Shan, all over them doing the non-boom bap type stuff. So I mean, it's just, you're absolutely right, But I still respect that dude, and I still think he's positive, and he's that dude. But as far as historically, he's been all over the place, and I'm not surprised one bit about that. But you're about to say something. Sorry to cut you off, El.
Oh, I was just getting ready to say this much, but go ahead. No, go ahead, Floyd. If you,
I want to ask, who chronicles or document the history of hip hop better than KRS-One? Who speaks on it or articulate it better than KRS-One?
I would say musically, I haven't seen a better chronicalizing of hip hop than in South Bronx. That shit was dope. I mean, when that line.
I mean, musically and verbally. I mean, when you put. Go ahead, brother.
No, that particular verse in South Bronx. Where he I know a few understand what I'm talking about. Remember Bronx River rolling. I mean, he broke that shit down. I mean, that shit was like it was like a historiography in music right there. I was like, damn.
Too bad he was lying about the whole Queens Bridge thing, though. So I mean, we put in there, we talked about some true things, but then it was an absolute fabrication about what MC Shan was saying or doing or anything. So I mean, again, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh type of situation.
Let me just make one comment though, pertaining to.
But I agree with Floyd.
Nobody articulates it.
I would agree. No one is articulating it on his level. I agree.
What I'd motivate you to do is go check out that Drink Champs interview with DMC.
With Crazy Legs. Right?
No. I'm talking about DMC. You need to look at
that's the one. Champs.
I'm telling you, I think he articulated better than I've ever heard KRS-One.
Nah, you're right. True. Absolutely.
I mean, that dude is a historian. Yeah. I learned so much that I'm just telling you that he did that thing. I always have respect for DMC, but it's on a whole nother level. So when you talk about Cold Crush and stuff like that, these cats, Grandmaster Caz, he's gonna know. You ask Grandmaster Caz, he's gonna know.
Yeah.
But they're not at the forefront. They're not out in front of the camera speaking about it.
He is. He's got a show called. He's got a show right now on LL Cool J's Rock the Bells Radio. Grandmaster Caz has a show with homegirl from the Funky 4 plus one. So they literally.
All right. So what year did she start? What year did they start talking?
Oh, they've been talking, bro.
Yeah, they've been talking.
I'm saying that KRS-One since the 80s has been chronicalizing hip hop, been grabbing a hold of it and saying that we are hip hop, we are this, and this is ours. You can't have it, Caucasian people. He's been at the forefront from day one.
Whoa.
He might have had a whole lot of shine, but same thing with what's that dude? Grandmaster Flash.
This is what I'm asking. What did I say?
But Melly Mel too. Melly Mel.
What did he say?
True. But Michael, KRS-One has the bigger mic though. That's what I think you're saying. He has the bigger, voice. But they've been talking too, but they don't have as much influence.
The reason why X-Clan went after them so big is because he was talking all that humanist stuff. So I don't know if he was really so much distinguishing it as a black cultural thing, for a long stretch. I mean, if he's saying that now, that's good and get, again, like I said, with KRS-One, he'll drift around from points and positions and stuff like that. But the bottom line is, I think he's coming from a sincere place, and you're right. He has been a champion. You know what? That's BS. I'm calling BS on it now because he wasn't a champion on that first album. When Criminal Minded came out, he was going after Run DMC. You listen to the lyrics of it's he wasn't talking all that b-boy stuff. He was like the teacher and he was against the culture in that first album.
He was battle rapping.
You say battle rapping, but he was literally
that's
talking
wrong?
bad about that. He was not embracing the
Yeah.
culture. That wasn't battle rapping. That
So
was
what?
literally disrespecting the
battle
culture.
rap is embracing the culture to me.
But I will say
Didn't
that
Run DMC?
that KRS One being a older generation Xers, they as a group, they always dissed. That was part of their repertoire, is to diss the
That's what I'm saying.
the greatest.
He was
Curtis
dissing
Pirates.
being a b-boy.
Yeah,
He was.
they
You
dissed
understand what I'm saying? It's
no,
not an issue.
I'm saying they were dissing the other
How he
generation. They
dissed
were
being a
dissing the
B-boy when he was
Cavs,
on B-boy
the Run
records.
DMCs,
He was
and
dissing b-boy records too.
but they were dissing the older generation of rappers. That's kind of what they did, though. They did do that.
It was like
And,
old school, new
and he
school
was
type
dissing
thing.
them because of
old school, new school.
He was
Yeah.
dissing them in the context of hip hop because again, he was talking about b-boys and all this other stuff. I mean, you could go back and listen to Criminal Minded. He was not embracing that.
Yeah.
He came around back to it about these elements. So he didn't start off like that. He talked about it. Look, in his first album, he was talking about, for lack of a better word, N-words type stuff too. I mean, he's on the cover, looking far from a lover. So, he was intelligent, but again, he was still on some ignorant stuff too.
Thing. Hey, listen to my 9mm go bang.
Let's not be confused about it. He didn't always start out that way.
One album of ignorance. One album of ignorance. He started out just a regular street dude, and then it only took him one album to understand the value of hip-hop.
Amen to that. Amen to
Next
that.
one was
Amen.
my
I loved it
philosophy.
when he embraced it.
All means necessary. Come on, man. Shit, we can't discredit that, man. He did.
No, I'm talking about you saying he always. I'm just saying he wasn't. He was against a lot of the b-boy stuff. That was my biggest gripe about him at the time, and I love the fact that he came back around to it and embraced it. And like I said, this dude, he's a sincere dude. And he gets to where he needs to get to. We don't always start off where we're supposed to be, but as long as we get there, that's all that matters.
Now, not taking away any credit from what you said about him, but there was a period of time where there was like a reminiscence of what came before. There was like a nostalgia. Before, when they came, there was this in the old school, but then it became like a nostalgia about the old school.
And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was the purest form. When you talk, like I said, you check out that Drink Champs DMC interview. Talk about when he's talking about the greatest era and stuff like that. Because I remember when the Good Life happened, we always operated in sort of like the West Coast underground just because of where the location we were.
Hold on, y'all know about the Good Life?
Yeah,
y'all went. That's what's up, man. Okay. I'm not even from there, but I heard, I know about the Good Life. Damn. And
I'm telling you, when Freestyle Fellowship came out and started doing all that complex stuff, it literally changed the game where it's like, okay, now you got to rip up this stuff. Hip hop has evolved to another place, a much more complicated place. And I just remember when you had people doing all these routines that were so dope and beautiful, that a lot of these cats were doing. But when you go back to those tapes that DMC's talking about, these are like these were the type of things that they were doing in the beginning. We always talk about the yes y'all and all this other stuff, but they were like dudes that were doing like the great stuff, not just the stuff that was just sounding corny, but actually artistic, that was coordinated, that was all over.
They had routines and stuff.
Yes, exactly. So you go back to that, and those cats really were onto something. So
So on the side note, because you brought up something real quick, I'm asking all three of y'all, do you think there was some connection? This is a side note, between Freestyle Fellowship and Bone Thugs and Harmony.
No, not at all.
No. Okay.
No. It was because you're talking about the speed of the chops and stuff like that. It's not necessarily
and the flow, the style.
That stuff, I tell you, when Freestyle did what they did, I remember hearing now I'm going to talk about some rumor. Freestyle Fellowship was allegedly touring with a lot of sort of East Coast groups. And when they saw what they were doing, then it was like all of a sudden now you got leaders of the new school and all these other cats that are just Busta Rhymes. Busta Rhymes was doing what he was doing after a fashion, but then he just got super advanced as a rapper. You know what I'm saying? So it was just there was a time where they everybody embraced where things were going. So and no doubt when you talk about Bone Thugs and Harmony, feel like what you want to feel about as an artist, but these dudes had definitely complex flow patterns and the harmony on top of it. So they were doing stuff that could have flown in The Good Life. They were doing that type of stuff, which, you know, ultimately, you know, gravitated to Project Blowed. So, you know, shout out to The Good Life, shout out to Project Blowed. I apologize that I did not promote the event that they had this Wednesday on the 27th. They had a 29th anniversary Project Blowed event. It killed me to forget that. You know, shout out to our brother Born Allah, who's you know, was performed in The Good Life and part of the Project Blow, you know, family. So shout out to them, 2,000 Crows, all of them brothers. So
shout out to the Good Life Project. Yes, sir.
Now I want to ask y'all something. Also, hip hop for me was something that I was willing to risk my freedom for. It was that serious to me. You know, we couldn't afford all the music that came out. So, you know, we did what you know, we did what we had to do, man. And like we
Wow.
like right here in Eastland Mall. I mean, this is common. We did this weekly. Me and my friends, 3 or 4, my close, you know, friends, we would go and we would steal tapes. You know, that's back when they had the that little plastic thing over the tape. And you had to break it. You know, you always try to cough or do something like, oh, and you break it and put it in there. And so we would, you know, on a good day, I would get 10. My friend would get 4. He might get 10. And then we would go back over my friend's Reese house, and he had a little back porch, you know, with the, you know, inside, outside back porch. And we would just get some old English 800. We'd sit back there, whatever else. And we just played tape per tape all the way through. We were like music critics back then. Like this was this, and we know we trading tapes. Oh, I didn't get a chance to steal that one. Let me get that one. I trade you this for that one. I mean, we did this weekly, and you know there were And there were, you know, times where we did get caught, but we right back at it.
You broke up. You broke up. What did you say?
Okay. No, I was saying we would do that. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying he was like Malcolm X. By any means necessary.
Yeah, I had to have it, man. I had to have it, man. I had to have it.
And to add on to that, the whole thing, the other thing that we used to do was if somebody had a tape, we didn't have it, get a blank tape, copy it.
Dub it.
Yeah.
It's something y'all know about.
I gotta shout out my brother Marcellus Royal. He is a big asset to me in my hip hop, you know, exposure, because he got like a big settlement. You know, he got ran over by some famous football player, and he got like a big fund of money, and he bought a ton of records. So even though we had K-Day, you know what I'm saying, and K-Day, you know, you sit, if a new song came out, you just sit there with your tape recorder for 24 hours and you be able to catch it. But the bottom line is, but he bought all of them records. I mean, and you know, he bought those records and he left them at my house because, you know, I had the turntable, I was DJing. So I mean, we got all of it. And not only that, as a DJ, we kind of had some connections where we were getting a lot of free stuff. So I want to shout out to Martin's Records. You know, they used to be on Pico over there by, let's say, Redondo. Shout out to Darren, because, you know, he used to hook us up. But you know, and Martin Walker, you know, who was the owner. I mean, we got a lot of music, so that was a big part of it. So that's why I was exposed to a lot of stuff that a lot of people out here weren't.
And shout out to K-Day too. Let me
K-Day, yeah.
K-Day, I don't know if it was the first in the nation, but it was definitely the first in LA that played strictly hip hop, straight up. And shout out. Hey, wait, hold on, one more shout out.
Okay.
K-Day went out of business after he went off the air that first time. Shout out to KJLH for trying to hold it up for a minute. And then shout out to Power 106 and then The Beat for taking back over. Okay, so I just want to say that. Go ahead, Mr. Omar.
No, I used to get tapes, man, from Dr. Dre, you know, before pre-NWA, all the way from LA to here, Detroit. And, you know, when you got that was really hot. You know, everybody recording it. I got into a fist fight with this dude. I can't remember what tape it was. You're talking about dubbing tape. This dude was so petty that you let him see the tape. He would record your tape and then, you know, unscrew the tape. Take the original, put it in his dub, in his case, and take the copy and put it in your original.
Wow.
This Mo Face Reese around the corner, I got into a fist fight with that dude over that, man. He, you know, because he was, you know, ripping me off of my original quality of music, man. You know. Yeah.
That's sophisticated right there.
Yeah, that's one of those
took the
things
time to,
you risk your life for. Yeah,
yeah.
Spin that back.
Yeah, but that's them rhodium swap meet mixes, and I mean, you can get those on YouTube now. I mean, they were spectacular. They were spectacular.
Yeah.
I remember going to New York as a kid. The same year Plug Tuning came out. I don't know what year that was, but I was so happy. I was going to New York. I bought me a whole pack of Memorex tapes and 2 radios so I can have one on WBLS 107.5, you know, with Mr. Magic, and then one with Chuck Chill Out Red Alert on 98.7 Kiss FM. Because I knew all about it, and I was there. I had them both just recording. That was one of the best moments in my life.
What was that? That was 88 or 89? That was 88, right?
I think it was 88. Plug Tuning. My cousin was DJing at the party, and he played. It was like dun dun dun, and I was like, "What?
Yeah,
what is that?"
Hip hop is. I'm telling you, that's one of those songs that super gets me going. That is the quintessential. So just their flow, how they break out to it, how everything Prince Paul on the production, everything about that song is an absolute masterpiece. Shout out to De La, you know.
Yeah,
shout out to De La.
Rest in peace, Pasta Loose.
Yeah, not Pasta Loose. It was Dave.
I mean, Trugoy. Yeah.
And shout out to Run DMC. We had mentioned him earlier, and rest in peace, Jam Master Jay.
That was heartbreaking. I remember my homeboy Leroy. Shout out to Leroy Henry, who contributes to the show by text. But he called me up and told me about that, and that was devastating because again, that was the dude that made me want to become a DJ. I got turntables shortly after that Fresh Festival, you know, thing. I started out as a break dancer, but I became a DJ after that. I was kind of rapping, you know, stuff before, but most of the rapping that I was doing was like racist comedy stuff. So I'll never like to talk about that stuff. It was the way, you know, it's basically that was something, another avenue of the dozens, because I was that person. You talk S to me, I'm gonna figure out levels and layers to come after you. But I'm not proud of that stuff. But that definitely happened. But you know,
what type of turntables did you first get? The first kind?
My first turntables.
Fisher Price.
It was a belt drive. I want to say that it was probably Sony. It was belt drive. It wasn't a direct drive, so it was a belt drive situation, and we would use whatever we could think of to glue onto them. Money. My homeboy used to use the little radio car parts and stuff like that. Whatever you did to hold the needle down onto it. We used to. Yeah. Shout out to my homeboy Chad. You know, he's not really dealing with me too much these days, but you know, that was one of my original brothers. Shout out to Ray Sean. You know, us three. We were sort of like a DJ network in the very beginning. So you know, that's where a lot of our stuff came through.
Hey, check this out. Remember those big old stereos? They had like the turntable.
And
like a whole bookshelf and everything.
Yeah.
That was my first turntable. When I saw Rocket on the video, saw the dude scratching, I got my butt scratched up for that.
Rocket. Yeah, that was a big one. That was one. Matter of fact, I don't know if that was like the first video of. But no, that was big. I mean, you know, Herbie Hancock, that was dope. But that was.
I was getting ready to say this too. Let me spin this back real quick. Shout out to our elders that did embrace hip hop back in the day. Herbie Hancock, Stevie Wonder, even Quincy Jones to an extent, because you know he did do back on the block, but he was into hip hop. He didn't disrespect it. He embraced it. Stevie Wonder.
Who did Release the one where Release Yourself? Was that Rocket? With DST?
Release? Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay.
I got it, but I don't know who it is. I can't.
Yeah, I have to look that up. But I mean, you talk about the open and the people, not just the people from old, because that's a great thing that they embrace it, but then the people that were parallel, that were doing something else that embrace it. Because I always think about, I want to say Deborah Harry. Is that what her name?
Blondie. Yeah, Blondie.
Or what do you call her? Goldie. But that was the sister that really embraced the culture. She was, she got Five Freddy, who made it the greatest hip hop movie of all time, Wild Style. So that's for real.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't know who Fab Five Freddy was. I didn't even realize she said his name till like the 90s. I'm like, what? Oh, whoa! Then I saw the video. I'm like, that's That's dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting though, the black independent labels, the early rappers didn't get. They largely ignored rap, the music, and it was the white independent labels that picked up the hip hop artists in the early days.
All but Def Jam and Sugar Hill.
Mhm.
Hey, a lot of these white people, actually saw the vision where things were going and stuff. I always think about like Loud Records. Loud Records had a great stable of underground, East Coast, West Coast, all of this stuff. You back, it was obviously in the 90s, but there was a stretch that Loud Records was just, they were great. So shout out to Loud Records and a lot of stuff they were doing.
And truth be told, it was the hip hop artists. And I don't know, I'm not saying, I don't necessarily think that their motive was, I want, this culture. I think the motive was a lot of these companies, they were on the decline and they just took a risk. And it was the rap music that bolstered them, that put them back on their feet financially and made them prosperous. Like Profile is just one example. They were almost bankrupt, and Run DMC, actually saved them, did more for Profile than Profile did for them in a sense. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and that story, that pattern is kind of repeated with a lot of other early white labels, independent labels, before the majors would even consider, hip hop. Yeah,
That's interesting. Okay, so let's get to what is hip hop to you. I mean, not hip hop because we didn't term it hip hop in those days, but we was imitating what we saw as the culture. In fact, hip hop is the culture, right? So to me, everything that I did after extent was hip hop. We was trying to rap. We was beating on tables and beatboxing and stuff like that. We was spinning, breakdancing and all that old good stuff. We did everything. And then later we started doing graffiti, and the graffiti was just like Floyd X said. We was just writing and leaving our mark and letting them know where we was from and who we was and stuff like that. Like, I'm here and cross this one out and run and all that old stuff. We didn't understand this was all part of hip hop. But everything that we did, even when like NWA came out, I always like to use NWA as a reference point because it became the gangbanging culture kind of intertwined with hip hop. In fact, it is now for sure. And I was there when all this kind of got incorporated. So all this stuff that we was doing on the streets was all hip hop to me. I don't want to go into no long dissertation because I don't have one, but
Hey,
tell me what you perceive hip hop to be.
El Poo,
Yes, sir.
real quick, the NWA was the representative of the gangbangers in California. It was like we saw them, the gangsters we saw on the streets in LA, they represented that in the music game.
And the crazy thing is, everything they said was exactly what was going on. They paint. That's why Ice Cube is so great. He painted these pictures that was exactly what you can see when you walk out your door. You feel me?
Yep. And you didn't have to be a gangbanger to understand or relate, because you have family members who were gangbangers and they look like NWA. It's like, oh, they look like the gangbangers. They was representing the gangbangers in the music industry.
We thought NWA was real gangsters. I mean, we thought all these dudes was really gangsters at first. We was like, man, these dudes are really hard because they look like the dudes down the street. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yep.
They doing the thing. They talking about the stuff that they do.
Yeah, because real dudes, even civilians, is still dudes. So they were around their culture. I mean, Eazy was the real gangbanger, but for all intents and purposes, they still dudes who's going. Civilians. A civilian can beat up a gangbanger. It's fighting is still fighting.
Hold on. Let me spin this back. MC Ren was a gangbanger too. Just to let y'all know. All right, go ahead now.
So I'm going to say that for hip hop, for me, again, that's why I always distinguish sort of like what I call gangbanging music or whatever you want to call that. I always distinguish that from hip hop because there was a great resistance. I remember as a break dancer, they're sort of like the one culture that really kind of pushed that out. There was a time where breakdancing was very popular amongst other people, and then there was a lot of time the gangsters were like, well, that's played out and presenting problems for that. I remember Brick Walls talking about how, Muggs would chase them because they just you couldn't do breakdancing. They resisted it. So to me, I don't never really associate that type of music with hip hop, because I felt like this is a movement that came out of it, and they a lot like NWA was a hip hop group. They did hip hop music, but a lot of this other stuff that went into I guess the gangbanging music or whatever stuff like that, it was a derivative. And they wouldn't necessarily embrace the elements as far as the break dance.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Go ahead, El Pooh. Because I want. I will. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead. Check this out, bro. So if you saying that, what would you say about Too Short's early music? Was that
was going to be my next question, brother?
That was going to be my point.
My next question.
I didn't identify when you talk about what hip hop is to me. I'd say that I didn't view that stuff as hip hop.
So Luke wasn't hip hop, even though he got a DJ.
I didn't view Luke as hip hop. I didn't view Luke as hip hop. Because to me, when I looked at hip hop was again.
So it goes back to what's your criteria, Mr. Nice Guy?
Yes, sir.
Well, again, it was a particular movement. So a lot of time it was about pacing and stuff like that. So there was a sort of like a range of beats per minute. Even though I did embrace the electro funk type of stuff like that, when you talk about Clear and Technicolor and Al Nafish, these were dope. That trendy stuff, whatever. But again, that was, they literally have a definition for that. So that's technically not hip hop, even though it kind of part of the same umbrella. But to me, again, I came out on East Coast music. That was where a lot of stuff that I was getting. So you're talking about Juice Crew, you're talking about Run DMC, you're talking about Houdini, you're talking about the Fat Boys, you're talking about where the dudes is beatboxing and all this other stuff. You're talking about the DJs. This was a different vibe than what a lot of the guys that were doing when you talk about Too Short playing like little instruments or something. I mean, I understand there's a drum beat, but again, it was a different vibe. And again, I wasn't knocking at his music. I just was looking at something different. It's like, country music. There may be some great country music songs, but it's not hip hop. It's just something different.
Let me say this: you could have took some of Too Short beats and put an East Coast rapper on there. Would it be hip hop then?
It depends. If the beat is hip hop, if Too Short is on it, it's hip hop. What the beats that I was hearing didn't sound very hip. It didn't sound like my concept. Again, I can't speak for hip hop. It's disrespectful to even do anything like that. So I'm never saying whether something is hip hop or isn't hip hop. I'm saying that something that I identified as hip hop, because I had a concept of hip hop long before these things existed. And then I get exposed to this thing and I go, that doesn't really fall into the criteria of what I identify as hip hop. But that's something else. And again, that's not a knock on it. That's not just like a lot of the stuff that they do. When we talk about trap music and stuff, it's different. But some of it's good.
So let me ask you this. Can we all agree that hip hop isn't static for sure, right? It has changed. It has developed over time. So I think kind of when we defined it, it might be better to be more broad. I think one thing that when I think about hip hop is authenticity. There's a level of authenticity in hip hop music that you don't find in other music, not just in the content, but also in the representation. One thing that Run DMC, I think, really added or brought out that became hip hop is what you mentioned earlier, Mr. Nice Guy, fashion. Up until that point, Grandmaster Flash, Funky 4+1, I mean, to be honest, they look like disco clowns. I mean, people didn't dress like that on the street, Run DMC, thanks to Jam Master Jay, brought that street element, what people was actually wearing in the street right there on stage. No, I ain't putting no laces in my shoes. This is how we rock it. I'm rocking some Lees, no Calvin Klein, whatever. And, and that's what they wore. I remember my family, my parents, they were upset. Like, why would they get on stage like that? That's street clothes. Why would you do it? And I was like, yeah. That's how we do it. You know what I'm saying? So like hip hop brought a lot of authenticity. Like, no, we ain't watering nothing down. We not coloring our presentation. This is, hey, I just left the crib and I'm on stage.
Hey, hip hop got R&B singers out of them silky shirts.
Yeah. Hey, hip hop was like the Ivan Iverson of NBA, you know, in a sense, you know.
Yeah, he was hip hop. He brought hip hop culture to the NBA. In fact, they actually created a rule addressing you know, what they call that, a dress code. In response,
that might as well have been a hip hop
doing.
band. That might as well have been a hip hop black culture band. Yeah.
Hey, I know about it as a DJ. I remember DJing in Dublins and stuff like that. And they would say, like, you can't come in there with no t-shirts and jeans. You knew who they were trying to keep out. They were telling you, hey, don't play rap music. Only play, like, you know, 70s, 80s, you know, dancing, whatever.
What homeboy say? What homeboy say? I'm getting sweated for my dress code. Mad Circle, Dub C, yeah.
So I mean, that's and that was their trick of basically exercising exclusion and racism because this would sort of like keep those people away. So I mean, it was a trip.
So that's one element I think of hip hop is authenticity.
Yeah, good point. Good point. I mean, but now it's. I agree with that. What do you think? What's the state of hip hop right now? Where are we at? Is it still authentic? Is it still as creative? Is it moving forward? Is it going backwards?
I'm gonna deal with the broad facts, and it ain't too exciting. One thing I think we can all agree is that hip hop is more diverse now than it's ever been. Can we kind of agree to that?
Yep.
Okay.
I agree.
Diverse in as far as the people that are involved, or diverse in the way that it sounds.
In the way that it sounds, it's just like so, like, you know, back when we were young. Some of the best, right? You know, you can kind of count on a couple of hands. You know, it wasn't like, you know, it was a lot out there, but the ones that stood out now, it's just so broad, it's so wide, it's so many different platforms.
Let me put a question out there, and I try. This is like a litmus test for me. Is Sexy Red hip hop?
I mean, yes. I mean, because of where hip hop is today, yes, she's considered hip hop. But you gotta understand, hip hop has matured and expanded, and you got so many other genres of hip hop, but it's still hip hop. So yes, it is. She is hip hop. You can't take that away from her.
All right.
So yeah, she's definitely hip hop. She's definitely hip hop, no doubt. But I'm saying, like, so hip hop has never been just that. I mean, you know, JJ Fad, Sade, 2 Live Crew, you know, and a lot of these folks, that's funny, that really broke out outside of New York. They all had a member or someone that was originally at some point from New York.
MC Sade was from New York.
Yeah, MC Sade. What's the Brother Marquis and the 2 Live Crew, Ice-T on the West Coast. So I mean, but you've always had this diversity in hip hop, though. But you had some forms of hip hop that were more true to the New York regional theme, which did reign for a long time. But you know, without a doubt, we can say that Atlanta replaced New York in the South. You know, has been at the helm of hip hop for some time now. But I don't know. A lot of what we say is hip hop could have been like regional New York elements, because breakdancing didn't hit. It hit, but it didn't hit, and it didn't stay. It didn't sustain. Tagging, we did it. You know, it was kind of like Chicano writing. I don't know.
Wait, hold on. Let me spin this back.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm going on and on. Yeah.
Because when you say it hit, but it didn't hit, are you talking about your region?
In my region, it didn't. Okay. It didn't sustain. It was in the early days.
Your region is what? Detroit, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, Detroit. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay. No. I was getting ready to add to that because we already had popping the lock out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's an element.
I had rerun.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, and that's it's early stuff.
I want to know why nice guys say Sexy Red is not hip hop.
Because again,
what's up with that, man?
The reason, because the reason why, see, this is the problem. For some reason, they identify rap as hip hop, and to me, I want to always distinguish rap from hip hop, because rap is like singing. You can have country, you can have R&B, you can have all these people sing, but this ain't hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Just because you're rapping, that doesn't mean that makes it hip hop. So when you're talking about,
hold on, let me stop you right there. If you had a black child by a white woman, is the child black or white?
Oh,
what'd you say?
if you had a black child by a white woman, if you as a black man had a child by a white woman.
No, you said you have a black child. You've already defined it as a black child.
By a white woman.
That's funny.
Is the child black or white?
But hip hop didn't produce Sexy Red.
Rap is a part of hip hop.
Rap is something that's done in hip hop. They're singing songs. They're hip hop songs that have no rap in it.
This is why we got to go back to the
Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah.
I will argue this, Mr. Nice Guy. I'm sorry. I'm go ahead, Fordex.
He made his comment. He said that we got to go back to.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So rap is something. Is a part of hip hop, but I would argue that not only does it precede hip hop, it's older than hip hop, but it's the most blackest, most important element of hip hop.
Ooh, that's deep.
Well, I'm not making that argument, and I'm not arguing against it. My point is that, but again, like you said, rapping preceded hip hop, and rapping is not necessarily. Again, rapping doesn't make something hip hop. You can have a country rap song, you know what I'm saying? That's actually not a hip hop song, but it's a country song.
But the absence of rap, you don't have hip hop.
You can no. There are hip hop songs that are strictly.
You got hip hop instrumentals too. You got
that's absolutely false.
Hold on. With that being said,
James Brown is hip hop, whether he's singing or rapping or whatever. I mean, it's hip hop.
What if I take a Sexy Red beat and put another rapper on top of it, a cappella? Is it not hip hop?
They're just be doing if her beat is not hip hop and you put another rapper over it, then you might have hip hop being played over something that's not hip hop.
That's just like incorporating her.
That's how hip hop started, right?
That's incorporating.
No, hip hop was taking stuff that was hip hop on its own and making it hip hop as far as the culmination. So it was a hip hop it was a hip hop prospect and made it to a hip hop actuality.
Rapper's Delight took a disco record and put lyrics on top of it.
It took a disco record, but it took a hip hop riff of that disco record that created a hip hop.
It wasn't a hip hop riff. It was just hip. It was just a disco record. They just took
all the beat breaks, of that music. All the beat breaks, the beat breaks that made up beat breaking and stuff like that. Those were all hip hop. So they weren't necessarily created for hip hop. They were just done, and hip hop happened. So
we made it hip hop, right?
You said we made it hip hop. That's fine. If you want, we can take both those tacks. My point is that whether you took something and turned it into hip hop, the end result is hip hop. My point is that I'm saying that she is not hip hop. She is garbage. She is basically, just the fact that she's rapping doesn't make it hip hop. I'm saying that you can sing, but that don't make something country. It's only if it's country is it country. And I'm just saying that hip hop is something different than what she's doing. I've heard stuff from her. Now, look, maybe she has some stuff that I haven't heard that would fall into that category. That happens all the time because I haven't heard all of her discography.
So let me ask you this. Is JJ Fad hip hop?
Some things that they did were hip hop. I mean, they literally did a song that wasn't like fast, that was dissing all the female rappers and stuff like that. But they weren't particularly good. But I would still argue that they were hip hop.
Is DJ Magic Mike hip hop?
DJ Magic Mike, as far as I know, but I can't say that.
Miami bass.
Huh?
Yeah.
Magic Mike.
Miami bass.
I mean, I'd have to hear, but again, I do think a lot of the stuff that they did was hip hop. I'm just saying it was just because I didn't say I identified it with it. I wasn't saying it wasn't hip hop. Again, I always clarify that I'm not the person I don't have the authority to.
I'm just trying to get a better picture of what you're saying. So, what are your thoughts about Egyptian Lover?
Egyptian Lover was hip hop to me. He was absolutely hip hop. I mean, he's talking about rapping, scratching, all that other stuff. I mean, it was sort of like Africa Bambaataa type stuff. I mean, the bottom line is, like, for example, you talk about a song that doesn't have no rapping, that is a hip hop song, Play at Your Own Risk by the you see what I'm saying? So,
hey, like, who can sing that? Somebody sing that right now, man. That's my song, man.
That's what I'm saying. So my point is that it's not. It's not a function
that boy hit that high note.
Yeah,
I was like, man,
it's all singing, but it's hip hop. I'm just saying that hip hop is not defined by rapping. That's why once you take that confusion out of it, you can distinguish the crap that's just basically when you talk about a person that's what's the term that we always confuse white people doing when it comes to black culture? It's
Culture vulture.
Appropriation.
It's culture vulture, but there's a particular term. What's it?
Appropriation.
Appropriating. That's what I think that she's doing. She's appropriating. She's just doing whole music that she's appropriating rap elements in whatever. But I mean,
so hold on, hold on, one second. Okay, hold on. I want to retract my statement. First of all, yeah, you can have hip hop without rap. It's an important element, of course. But you're looking at her content, not her rhythm, not her cadence.
Delivery. I'm saying that as an MC, you got to understand. I process rap as an MC, as a rapper. I'm a person that studies cadence, that studies lyric construction. Like, for example, to me, Cardi B is a dope ass rapper. She's not just a pretty face or whatever. She's actually got presentation. She's got delivery. She's got flow. She's got one song, I forget what it's called, but I mean, she does something that it amazes me out of someone whose content is not the most inspiring, but a person that obviously gets the hip hop music aspect of it. But again, she is from New York, so I always felt like a lot of them get stuff by osmosis. Even their pop stuff sounds a little more sophisticated than like some pop stuff, like a lot of Puffy stuff. I mean, let's call it what it is. Puffy was a pop guy. He was turning 80 songs into rap songs, and he did a lot of pop stuff, but he pulled it off. You know what I'm saying? So it's just I gotta respect that, and I definitely love B.I.G. I mean, he's one of the greatest of all times.
Okay, hold on. Before we go, Biggie is hip hop, right?
Absolutely.
Was CMW hip hop?
CMW.
Compton. One time gaffle him up.
Compton's Most Wanted.
CMW. Compton's Most Wanted. Yes, Compton's Most Wanted.
They were hip hop.
Oh, hey, MC8. He's one of my favorite rappers of all time. Again, don't get me wrong. There's some gangster stuff. There's some gangster stuff that was like hip hop still. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that there was some stuff that was just gangster for the sake of gangster, and that didn't quite translate to me. But again, I don't get.
Would you concede that Sexy Red is just weak? Like, she's hip hop, but she's a weak artist.
I don't think that she's doing hip hop. I don't think she's trying to. I don't think she's coming with hip hop energy. That's what I'm saying. To me, what I associate with hip hop has always been a function of energy. Like, for example, we had this debate before. We talk about G-Funk when Dr. Dre came out with that song, Nothing But a G Thing.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately was like, damn, this sounds like easily listening rap. To me, the energy wasn't there. So again, it was dope. I thought it sounded good, because again, I like all types of music. So I can listen to country music and think, oh, it sounds good, but I don't think it sounds hip hop. And again, I didn't associate that stuff with hip hop. To me, that it was a derivative, and they created something else that was great and good. It was good, but it was different. So to me, it was like an evolution into something that officially evolved into another category, but it was a derivative. You understand what I'm saying?
My melody was just as slow.
No, the energy though. The energy. Hey, you know what's a slow song? KRS-One's got a song, Rappers Are in Danger. It's slow, but the energy is amazing. I'm just saying, you can't, he's just Blastmaster Chris. The stuff, it's slow, but the energy is kinetic. You know what I'm saying? It's a different thing as opposed to listening. When you listen to G-Funk, it's all like, whatever. So Rappers Are Dangerous, it's like rock. You know what I'm saying? It's different. It's a different energy. So it's not a function of slow. It's a function of where it takes you.
Okay.
I'm just saying that energy is the best way to describe it. It's a kinetic energy. That's the thing that always gave me the category of whatever.
I'm gonna say this much. Hip hop has evolved over the years, over the decades, and now it's in a place that I don't really like. But I feel like my parents, when they said hip hop was not real music, I'm thinking the same thing about some of this new hip hop music. It's like you said, it's not hip hop, but it actually is. We gotta just face the reality that we don't get it. It's not our style. It's not our cup of tea, and it's not like it used to be. But that's just how it is when you get older. So with all that,
but you know what? But when parents come out, when another genre comes out with a different type of music, whether it's jazz or whether it's R&B, they may feel some type of way because it's not their generation. But that other thing is actually called something else. So again, I'm telling you, see, this is the thing that kind of kills me when we talk about what's popular rap music and stuff like that. They're still doing underground hip hop. You still got people like J. Cole. You still got people, you know what I'm saying? They're still doing this stuff. So it's in existence. It's basically, you're talking about what's being a light that's being shown on. So that's why when I say that it's not fair to criticize where hip hop is now, when you're only talking about this small segment who may be making the most money of it, but they're just one little thing. Hip hop is being done all over the world. There's Europeans, Asians that are creating dope ass songs. I mean, you got, Filipinos doing dope. I mean, when we talk about breaking, when he said like breaking didn't hit, that's one thing I want to talk about. Sorry about extending this a little bit further. But when you talk about breaking, when we were doing breakdancing was actually resisted by a lot of the culture that I'm talking about, and they forced us to stop. But they were still doing this in the Asian communities. You talking about in Japan and all this other stuff. When they finally brought back, they had like a reunion of the Radiotron that's televised. I mean, of this video recorded. We were there, me and Brick Walls, and Turbo came over there with his white girlfriend and everything. But I'm just telling you, they were doing way more complicated and evolved stuff than what we were doing. So they improved on it. They were still doing it. And my point is that there's rappers doing stuff now. Technology, they got way more better technology as far as music. They're pushing it down the field. They're actually doing more advanced stuff than we could do. And as far as a lot of this trap music, I love DaBaby. I think he's dope. There's a song called Quality Control with him and some whatever. To me, that's hip hop, but it's also that trap stuff. Future, his first song, what was that first song called? I forget. To me, you just listen to that track. This is a quintessential pure hip hop track, and he just does his thing on it, and it's dope. That's that song where it's like something about millions or thousands of. I don't remember that first song, but again, they still do it. Drake is the guy that a lot of hip hoppers don't want to admit that they love his music because he makes very good, catchy music. They still figure it out. They still do it. So I'm just saying it's still being done. Kendrick Lamar, it's still being done, but there's other stuff that's being done too, and that's okay. Branch out and develop your new stuff. It's okay. Drill rap, it's something else. It's different. It's okay. Everybody's going to come up with something new, but that doesn't make it hip hop.
Well, if it derives from hip hop, it's still hip hop as far as I'm concerned. That's just my opinion. That's what hip hop is to me.
So if hip hop is derived from R&B and jazz and stuff like that, is that what it is?
Yes. I mean, it's all incorporated. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all black soul music. That's how I feel about it. It's good for the soul. But anyway, let me spin this back one last time and let us get up out of here. We appreciate y'all being here once again. So once again, for the whole crew, Mr. Nice Guy included, Mr. Omar, Mr. Floyd X, and for the others that ain't here, Mr. Brick Walls, Mr. Walk, and the whole crew out here, we appreciate y'all being here. We wish you Happy New Year. And don't forget, hit that like, subscribe, and share. And join us back next week. First, it's just up on the Focus Up Show, 9 o'clock in the morning, Pacific time, Saturday. And then 10:30 Saturday. We always got to spin that back show right here. We out of here, y'all. See ya.